Reason most people burn out is not because they work too hard, it's because they work too hard on the wrong things, in the wrong sequence, without structure that could hold the weight of effort over time. They confused volume with intensity, they confused business with output, they confused exhaustion with progress, and they kept pulling from the same reserves without ever replenishing them. Until one day the reserves were gone. What looked like ambition from the outside was running on fumes from the inside, and eventually fumes ran out. Burning out is not a badge, it is a structural failure, and the structural failures are engineering problems, not character problems, which are what? Are solvable. The people who outwork everyone without burning out are not superhumans. They are not operating on less sleep or more caffeine or a special tolerance for punishment. What they have is different architecture. They have figured out how to generate elite output from a system that is designed to sustain it rather than a system that is designed to maximize the short-time exposure of work. Looks effortless from the outside, not because it is easy, but because it is structurally sound. A building that is engineered correctly does not look like it is straining under the weight it carries. It just stands. That is what sustainable intensity looks like from a distance, right? It just stands, and it stands for what? For years. The principle of the architecture is the separation of deep work from busy work and the ruthless prioritization of a former at an expense of the what? Of the later. Most people's days are filled with activity that feels like work and produces almost nothing of consequence. For example, emails answered, meetings attended, problems managed, appearances maintained, and at the end of a day full of that activity, they are genuinely tired, genuinely unproductive, and a combination of two things that are the fastest road to burnout, because you are depleting energy without generating the progress that makes the depletion feel worth it. The exhaustion without the reward is what breaks most people, not the work itself. Deep work is the kind of work that moves the needle on the thing that actually matters. It is cognitively demanding, it requires full presence, it produces something that compounds, and it is almost always the thing that gets pushed to the edge of the day by the urgent noise of everything else. The architecture of the sustainable intensity is built by reversing that. You protect the deepest work first, right? The most important work you need to do, which will always produce like 80% of your results, right? That most important work you need to do. You have to first recognize what's your most important work. Then you give it your best hours, right? Then you give it also your sharpest attention, your most defended what? Time blocks of the day, right? And then you let the busy work live in what's left over of your day. The opening of emails, that thing which is not so much what? Useful. Not the other way around. When the most important work gets done fast and done well, the energy cost of everything that follows feels different. The day has already produced something real, and after that is maintenance, not mission. Maintenance is sustainable in a way that constant mission without completion never is, right? And here is how to begin building the architecture today. Map your last 3 days hour by hour and categorize every activity as either deep work, shallow work, or energy neutral. Be honest with your what? With yourself. Most people discover that less than 2 hours of the day topically qualifies as actually deep work. Then identify the highest leverage activities in your life right now. The two things that if done constantly at a high level would compound into everything else. Protect those two things with the first 19 minutes of your day before the noise begins, before your phone is checked, before the world's agenda has a chance to overwrite your own. Do this for 30 days and the architecture begins to hold itself. So, the next step is the energy economy, because outworking everyone is not about having more hours. Everyone has the same hours. It is about generating more output per unit energy than the people around you, and that requires understanding energy not as a fixed resource that depletes through the day, but as a renewable system that can be managed, protected, and expanded through intelligent design. Most people treat energy like a bank account they are slowly draining. They start the day with a full balance and spend it down through decisions, conflicts, distractions, and obligations until by the afternoon the balance is low, and by the evening it is empty. And the work that needed to happen did not happen, because the energy that should have funded it has what already been spent on things that produced nothing. The energy economy framework flips this. You should stop thinking about what you can get done before you run out of this energy, and start thinking about how to manage the inputs and outputs of your energy system so that the balance stays high enough to fund the work that matters most through the entire day, not just the morning. Energy has four currencies, and most people only manage one of them. It has the physical currency, right? And then it also has the emotional currency, and it also has the cognitive currency, and then the last one will be a surprise for you. Then let's talk about the physical currency. The physical currency is the most obvious one: sleep, nutrition, movement, recovery. But there is also the emotional currency, which is the energy that gets consumed by unresolved conflicts, chronic anxiety, suppressed resentment, and performance of emotions you are not actually feeling. There is the cognitive currency, which is the energy consumed by decisions, by context switching, by the low grade harm of problems you have not yet solved that run in the background of your mind all day, like open tabs during draining a battery. And there is also the meaning currency, which is the energy generated or depleted depending on whether the work you are doing is connected to something you actually care about, right? So now we need to talk about how to manage all those energy currencies. About managing the currencies. For the physical currency, treat sleep as a non-negotiable performance input and protect it with the same ferocity you protect your most important meeting. For the emotional currency, identify the one unresolved conflicts or suppressed emotion that is running in the background of your life right now, and address it directly this week. For example, not around it but through it. For the cognitive currency, do a full capture of every open loop in your mind. Every problem you have solved, every commitment you have not honored, every decision you are what? You are postponing. Write them down and either solve them or delegate them, or consciously decide to leave them unresolved until a specific date. Empty the tabs. For the meaning currency, connect the daily work back to the larger thing, right? You are building towards too, not the abstract motivation what? Language in a specific concentrate terms. This specific task today is a brick in this specific wall, and this wall is part of the specific building that matters to you for specific what reasons. That thread is what keeps the meaning currency funded when the work gets hard. Now, once the energy economy is under management, the next layer is recovery as a performance tool, right? Because the people who outwork everyone without burning out do not recover less than everyone else. They recover better, and they treat recovery not as the absence of work but the component of work itself. The amateur treats rest as a reward for work completed. The professional treats rest as a requirement for work sustained. That distinction sounds simple, and it changes everything about how you structure your days, your weeks, and your years.